Welcome into this Monday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal, McCready, Clark Ford studio this morning. We'll talk some Ole Miss camp storylines. They had their second scrimmage on a Saturday. We didn't see any of it, but they did have it. Talked to Lane Kiffin and a couple players afterwards.
Allegedly had it.
Well, no, well, that's true. I mean, I guess I'm fairly certain it occurred, but I guess technically I did not see the actual scrimmage. So
you did not see them scrimmage.
I did not. I saw them practice.
You are taking their word for it that they scrimmaged.
That's true. So we'll talk about the hypothetical scrimmage here coming up, as well as some other college football storylines, some rules being put in place, an angry columnist, and much more on the podcast.
He is angry.
Yeah, he said he was shaking with anger, actually, I think.
Wow.
Podcast brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford. Check out the Blue Sky location. Get the lunch special. It's $5.69, 2 sides, bread, 32-ounce drink. Also, stop on in. Download the Speed Pass Plus app. Earn points, save money in with the self-checkout line now active. You can check yourself out. Don't have to worry about who else might be in the store, what kind of wait there is. Just handle it yourself. We're huge proponents of it. You should be too. Check it out there at Blue Sky in Oxford. Again, coming to you from the Clark Ford studio.
We are. Clark Ford is in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900, 662-257-1900. Call that number, ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He will send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It's right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote, and the rest is completely up to you. You can shop that quote around, or you can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. You'll love the product. You'll love the service. People at Clark Ford, they want to be your car guy. They want to be your truck guy. They'll start proving to you what that means when you make the call. 662-257-1900. Guest will join us this week on the Rafters Music and Food Hotline. Rafters on the square, hopping these days. School is back. First day of class at Ole Miss. We've got about, 2 weeks? 2 weeks from today, Ole Miss opens the season. Ole Miss and Louisville and Atlanta, and then 2 weeks and 5 days from now, the first game of the season at home. So a lot going on. You can enjoy Rafters on the square and Rafters New Albany, and you can still, starting on Wednesday this week, enjoy Rafters on the water, frozen margaritas, frozen daiquiris, great waterfront views as we start to wind the summer part of summer down.
Times Caroline got class today. How's it going for day one?
She has her first class in 12 minutes. Not her first college class, but her first college class at the University of Arkansas. She has taken a couple of college classes.
Sure.
She took some Ole Miss classes. She actually took a 300-level Spanish class at Ole Miss last year, but it was online.
Okay.
So I guess this is her first in-person college
class.
Yep.
You obviously still have Carson at home, but is there a more empty nest with two gone? Is there a certain this is
sure
even more than maybe Campbell, who you hardly saw anyway her senior year?
Yeah, it's different. It's really different. It'll probably
because Carolina's the chatty one around the house.
Yeah, it'll probably start to feel different this week because last week was Rush, and so she FaceTimed a lot to update us on the silliness of her Rush. Bless her heart. I mean, she didn't get to have as much of a rush experience as other people. Like, I'll give you an example. She was at the FIMU house for the second round, and the girl who is the president of FIMU at Arkansas is from Oxford.
Okay.
And her sister and Campbell are good friends.
Okay.
And so she came up to speak to Caroline. And there was another girl, of course, down in front of her, rushing her. And Caroline said their conversation had been going really good. And the girl came up from Oxford and started talking. And when she left to go to the next girl, the FIMU at Arkansas said, well, how do you know her? And so Caroline tells her. And she goes, she FaceTimes. She goes, I could just see it right there. I was cut.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because they realized she has a sister that's in the Kyo house, and so there was no time to waste. She got hacked. So she was down to two houses pretty quick, and I think it was okay. She said that the one that she obviously pledged Kyo on Saturday, is what she would have done anyway. But yeah, it was kind of funny. But anyway, we talked to her a lot last week, and Laura went up there on Friday to be there for bid day and stuff. So this will be the first week that she's a full-fledged college kid, and I don't know that we'll hear from her as much.
That's a good point. How many hours she taking?
I think she's taking 16 hours. I'll be shocked if Caroline doesn't do really, really well.
Ole Miss had 1,415 sorority go into houses. I saw yesterday.
Oh, that's a bunch.
I saw that was their number.
Arkansas had 1,806.
Go through rush.
No, get bids.
Okay, yeah.
They had 1,950 go through rush.
Yeah, and then it was a 96% placement rate for Ole Miss. I saw something like that. So 4% didn't go that we're in. So anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, we heard a couple of the horror stories of girls that
really
got cut from the ones they wanted and left the dorm and went home and all the drama.
Yeah.
But it seems like for the most part they've got it, and I'm sure Ole Miss does too, kind of down to a science where you want the people to stay.
Yeah, sure.
So you want the rush experience to be a positive thing, and you want them to end up in a sorority house because that
is the point.
Dramatically increases the chances that they stay and matriculate their way through the university.
Yeah, sure. So anyway, we had told you earlier in the week that our practice access had been greatly diminished. So had a little bit of stretch and a little individual on, I guess, Monday, Thursday,
Thursday,
whatever the days were. And then on Saturday, so they were going to go around 10:45. They end up going a little earlier. We were told like at 9:30. It was 10:15, 10:30 instead. And they started out. They started out in the stadium, and then a huge thundercloud came over. It rained really hard for like 25 minutes. They go in the Manning Center for stretch, individual. Stretch was the literal only thing available to see. And
how did they stretch? Did they do well?
I'm sure they did well. And the thing is, like, what makes it frankly useless to even be there to see stretch is that unlike a lot of programs or even former programs we have covered, they would stretch in depth chart lines. Like you at least could go to the middle of the field and kind of see, okay, ones and ones and twos, and you can do those things. There's no system that I can decipher as to how Ole Miss stretches.
If they are stretching in depth chart lines, the last time that I saw them stretch, Matt Corral has been demoted to fourth team.
Well, they've got that. You've got like one end is
which
nothing.
Would be a significant storyline.
It would. There's a whole end where it's like nothing but DBs and then Tarikas Tisdale. And it's like, okay, I can't decipher whatever that is.
So has he been moved to safety?
Well, potentially.
Because that would also be another big news.
Yeah, so point being, there's nothing to take from that barring somebody not being available. But here's the catch on that.
Or somebody overstretching and getting hurt in the stretch line.
I guess that's true. If somebody tears an ACL while they are stretching, you would see that.
Yeah.
But there's not even 100% system for like, oh, that person wasn't out there at all, because in stretch, heard multiple people say nobody saw Luke Altmaier at all. Well, Lane Kiffin didn't say he was out. He said he was limited. So does that mean he came in later? Like, who knows?
Well, maybe he was limited to the point that he could not stretch.
Well, that's fair. Yeah, I don't know. But he did not appear to participate in the scrimmage, best I could tell.
Or you were looking for him with other quarterbacks, and he stretched with the lineman because he got moved to offensive guard.
Well, I think Nick Suss did mention that you had to be a little more cognizant of potentially like the backup quarterbacks having offense jerseys on because they were actually taking contact potentially.
Right.
You had to kind of be like, okay, you can't just look at white or blue or whatever they were wearing at that point.
This is where my approach to this drives people crazy, but I swear to you I'm right. The way I do it is the smarter way. They're going to play a game in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. They're going to play a game. And when they do, the clock's going to read 15.00 to start. Mm-hmm. They're going to have a 1 under the QTR portion, meaning quarter.
That's correct.
And when they blow the whistle to take the field, 11 dudes are going to take the field. I mean, I guess more could technically, but that would be a penalty.
Yeah, it wouldn't be smart.
I'm going to gamble and say that 11 or fewer players take the field for the first snap, and that's the starting offense or the starting defense. Mm-hmm. And wherever they line up is – like if Matt Corral lines up at offensive guard, at that point we'll be, whoa, wow, I didn't see this coming. I'm going to bet he lines up at quarterback. And people go, why are you being so elementary? Because at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's very elementary. The people that make this top secret-y stuff, it's okay, fine.
Depth charts, especially on defense, don't mean a hill of beans because they're going to play like 25 dudes. So yes, that guy gets to go in and have his name up on the video board and they go, Matt Corral, wherever, California and whatever. But for the most part, they're just rotating in or out depending on what the play and depending on what the situation is, and that's it. I mean, you don't have 11 starters. You've got like 17 starters is what you have.
What you're more interested to see is on Sunday or Monday when Pro Football Focus comes out with the snap counts. Here's who played.
Yeah. When you look up and you go, okay, A.J. Finley played 91 snaps. Okay, he's in there.
Did he start? I don't know, but he played 91 snaps.
Yeah, sure.
Well,
I mean, 'cause that'll be really interesting. Is on that Tuesday, whenever it gets updated. Hey, how did they split the linebacker snaps? How many did Austin Keys get in a lot? Did Tyler Knight move up and do this? Did Chance Campbell play 55 snaps? What happened? How
many? Did the sixth DB play 50 snaps, or did he play 15 snaps?
Mm-hmm.
That's what's interesting. And I get why there was a time, because when I started, depth charts were huge, and they'll put out a depth chart. I would assume
offenses and defenses weren't as multiple back then too. You had kind of
that's what you play.
Your dudes.
They'll come out with a depth chart on Monday.
They will with a lot of oars.
A lot of oars, and it's also going to have like 13 spots.
Oh yeah.
And so it's going to be like, well, if you line up in that,
so it's going to look like the All-SEC basketball team.
Yeah.
Where like half the damn conference makes it.
17 guys are first team, 13 guys are second team. So what?
Yeah.
Well, yes, if you play 17 players at once, you guys are going to win. Yeah, for sure.
Point being, nothing hardly to take from it. Braylon Brown did not practice that we saw. John Rice Plumlee, Ben Brown, Orlando Amana, Tavius Robinson.
Yeah.
The same cast of characters, frankly, who have been not participating.
And I understand why that's frustrating to fans, because it's frustrating to me that we can't have an honest injury conversation. I don't necessarily understand it.
Here's the funny part of
thing.
It. Obviously we don't want less. You're never gonna ask for less coverage or less honesty or less whatever. But there's also a bit of a simplistic nature to maybe how Mullen did it, where he wouldn't even tell you about a season injury where it was nothing. Lane, and it's not criticizing, but it creates a system where you're going, are you playing semantics with me? What are we doing?
Because it appears that we are absolutely playing
because the
word
question
games.
On Saturday, and I don't have it exactly, but the question essentially on Saturday was, Lane, you mentioned the other day that there were no significant injuries or whatever the word was used. Is that still the case? Was kind of the way it was phrased, because he's not going to answer a direct question about a one-on-one injury situation. And his direct quote was, I don't think we've had any major injuries, guys of significant playing importance. Which, if we're going to take that out, that means Orlando Amana is not a season-ending injury because he is very important.
And
that would mean Plumlee is not out for a huge period of time.
Yeah,
but you could say Braylon Brown does not qualify in that statement.
Right.
I don't know where he would fall in Kiffin's hierarchy there.
And listen, I have a source that's doubled down on this.
Yeah.
With him that said, because I said, are you sure on Braylon Brown? And the answer was yes. So I don't know. I mean, am I right? I don't know if I'm right. I mean, all you can do is report what your sources tell you.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally it.
So that's my point, is that I don't know where that line of significant falls for Lane on what he would admit and what he would not admit. Because I don't even really know what to take from snap counts or who played on Saturday, because we asked Caleb Warren, said, did you take any snaps at center? No, Bryce Ramsey took all of them. Well, on its face, you'd go, okay, well, that means Umana's probably whatever, but Ben Brown wasn't in stretch either. So if Brown's out and Umana out, well, Warren or Ramsey have to take all the snaps. So there's not really a lot to glean from that.
No,
It'd be different if Brown was 100% healthy and you go, okay, well, they left him at guard because Amano's back like Tuesday and whatever. There's no reason in moving people around.
And it's possible that Ben didn't scrimmage because they didn't want to risk anything with Ben and that they wanted to develop some depth.
Well,
I don't know.
And that's what they did in the second half. They did not play. Kiffin just said 3 of the top receivers, essentially for pitch count reasons. There's no reason to get Braylon Sanders hurt at this point. So I'm assuming Sanders, Mingo, and someone else. Take your pick on whoever you think that Drummond, I guess.
My guess is when Ole Miss's offense takes the field for the first time on Labor Day, that Braylon Sanders will be on the field.
Yeah.
I mean that's
he
my
did
assumption.
not practice in the second half of the scrimmage, but it did not appear to be injury based. It appeared to be, hey, go right on the exercise bike, and we got through another day.
Yeah.
Without you having an issue, because I want to say maybe even like Mingo or somebody was in a black jersey, like, hey, you don't touch him today. Might have been Sanders, actually. They might have had those guys even in black.
Well, in the first scrimmage, all those guys were in black.
Yeah.
Now, Hudson Wolf was in black, and I watched him get tackled twice, 2 plays in a row. And Lane,
he get yelled at?
No, but Lane got frustrated. Like what?
He didn't yell at him like he would have if they tackled 2.
The one that I remember was the day they were in. It was years ago, back in the Hugh Freeze era.
Uh-huh.
Remember this? And they're doing drills, and Vincent Sanders breaks his collarbone because he gets tackled, basically, and Hugh just lost it. Like, what are we doing? And yet you ask people to compete, they compete.
You'd have a problem with Hughes scrimmages. The quarterback would get hit occasionally, and you're like, "Well, what are we doing?"
Yeah.
Lane might literally cut somebody if they hit Corral.
Who was it that yelled? I can't remember. I don't even want to say. Someone's mental faculties were questioned out loud on a field. Yeah, it was a defensive lineman. Like, it was along the lines, are you capable of having thought?
Yeah. Anyway, that was really kind of what happened. We'll hit a few more of that and some other topics in a second. First, about community mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. Underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. They're getting local underwriting and understands your market. A leader in condo financing, the float down option, and more. You can find Jason at 662-234-2704 or JLOWE at communitymtg.com.
We're also brought to you by Dead Soxy. Go to deadsoxy.com. Enter the promo code Rebel Grove at checkout. Get 25% off the best socks you will ever put on your feet. If you've never tried Dead Soxy, you owe it to yourself. Go in there and order a couple of pairs. Go to the clearance section even, where you can combine with the discount. You can get socks for virtually nothing, and they're incredible socks. The best slip-ons, no shows that I've ever worn. Best traditional socks I've ever worn. They're great. You should try them too. DeadSoxy.com. The Grove will be open and back to full capacity this fall. At least I sure hope so. And the team at 7 South Tailgating will be there to serve any tailgating needs you may have. 7 South is your one-stop shop for all things tailgating at Ole Miss. They provide a level of service that's like none other. Their team is passionate about serving fellow Rebels, and it shows. Why does it do that? Go to 7southtailgating.com or call 662-321-1682. We're also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, Grenada Nissan's the place to go. They have a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles, great lease deals as well. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. My 10 weekend thoughts are up on the site. They're brought to you by Game Changer Patch Company. Game Changer Patch Company developed their own custom blend for treating hangovers several years ago to help reduce dehydration, prevent sleep deprivation, and help process alcohol. Game Changer patches are the only 2-patch system available on the market today. They've got the warm-up patch that you use before or while you drink, and the overtime patch, which is used after you've been drinking and while you sleep. Go to GameChangerPatch.com, enter the promo code RebelGrove20 at checkout, and you get 20% off your purchase. And we're brought to you by Automation and Control Systems, LLC, ACS, a complete electrical control system solution provider and a Rockwell Automation recognized system integrator. They've got a full-time dedicated emergency service and troubleshooting staff and a UL 508A panel shop. ACS can custom tailor software packages, custom design electrical control panel solutions, and much, much more. To learn more, go to acsllcms.com or call 662-601-4381.
Podcast also brought to you by Visit Oxford. Visit oxfordms.com is the website. Go to the events page, see what's going on this week and every week. Eat in the Street is happening this weekend to celebrate the opening of East Jackson there. as they've made it look quite nice there in front of Funky's, in front of Visit Oxford. They're just off the square. They've got music from 4 to 9, headlined by Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors on Saturday night. You can pick up food. They'll have some tables set up to eat, enjoy the weather, enjoy the music and the scenery. Plenty of activities all day. They got a caricature artist earlier in the day. They're doing yoga that morning. A lot of different stuff throughout the day for the whole family. Also, on that Friday night, they are doing a showing of Grease at the City Hall Plaza, so you can check that out. Around dusk is when they'll start the movie there on a Friday night as well. So it's this weekend coming up, Eaton Street. Visit oxfordms.com/events. It's really all Lane said. He said the defense was a little better on Saturday. Was pleased with it. Now the offensive line, missing 2 of its starters, has to at least be weighed there with the defense playing better. With
I want to add something while I'm thinking about it because
Sure.
I'm.
What is that? Oh, that's me. Go ahead.
I was going to say I don't know.
It's my towel, like to find my keys if I lose them.
You found them. It worked.
It did, yes. Yes.
Oh, someone in the thread said some of the questions are bad at the press conferences. I'm not one to defend media. You know that. I typically am piling on. We've hit the point where we don't see anything. Injuries are off limits. Individual players are basically off limits. It's kind of hard to come up with a question at this point. I mean, in all fairness to media, when the rules get this weird about what you can and can't ask and what can or can't be answered, it's kind of hard to have the conversation.
It was a strange press conference on Saturday from the standpoint is if you're asking questions simply from a beat writing standpoint about the team, about something you didn't see. Because that's the key here, too. It's not even like, hey, well, they're in the middle, you did this or kind of whatever. Hey, how'd it go? Who stood out? In very general terms, is anyone hurt long term? What's the schedule next week? Okay. Yep. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, because, you know, he frankly, there's not elaboration anyway because Lane doesn't like minutia beat questions. And, you know, because I think David said, hey, what about the backup quarterbacks? Blah, 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 blah. And I thought it was a smart question from the standpoint of it allows him to – it gave Lane an opportunity to admit something about Altmaier without us saying, hey, Altmaier's hurt. You know what I mean? Like, It was a way around that, which I thought – it was either Michael Katz or David. I don't remember. And Lane basically said, well, Luke was really limited. Kincaid threw a couple touchdown passes, did a couple things. Well, okay. I mean, like, I don't know how to play off that. So, you know
the next question could be, could you elaborate on that? And when he goes, no.
Well, you know.
Okay. Well, I mean, then why are we here at some point? I'll be honest. I think we've kind of gotten to that place. And that bothers people, but I'm being honest. We've hit the point where, hey, y'all play in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. See you then.
We'll see you then.
Yeah.
Because the game will be open to the public, I would assume. Yeah. The game will be on television. People will see things. Hey, I noticed in the third quarter you did this. Can you discuss that decision-making process? Whatever. I noticed that so-and-so didn't play after the first quarter. Was that an injury or was that a decision of playing whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Right now we can't do that. And again, I'd love to be the guy that goes, the media is horrible. I hate them, because generally that's sort of how I feel about a lot of times about media. But right now we've kind of been handcuffed. I mean, we've been handcuffed. We've been blindfolded. Our feet are shackled, and it's like, okay, go run. Well, what do you expect? I mean, there's nothing to ask. I mean, I guess we could say Tuesday, I could say, hey, what do you think about Bryan Harsin and Auburn?
Mm-hmm.
Might get you said anyone who doesn't get the vaccine is irresponsible. Would you say Bryan Harsin's being irresponsible? Now, he could come back and go, well, I don't know whether he's vaccinated or not, which would be a fair response. I mean, that might be an interesting give and take. We could ask about some things like that, but, you know, there's a story out that I think Ross Dellinger wrote it about.
Yeah, that's where I was going in a second.
About possibly expanding past 25 that I think I will ask him about tomorrow. Because I think Lane likes big picture questions and he likes to give answers to big picture questions, and that is absolutely something that is relevant. Now he might do the kind of the coaching half-truth cop-out on this and say, I'm so busy right now getting a football team ready that I don't even know. I don't know. Which typically he will do, and then he will expound on the thought, which is a Saban thing.
Yeah.
I don't even know it's Election Day. It's Election Day? I had no idea. Who's running? Who's the president? I'm so locked into Alabama football that I could not possibly know that today is
I only watch the Weather Channel.
Today is an election day. I only watch the Weather
Channel. I know
Channel.
there's a storm in Guatemala.
Yeah.
That's what I know.
And I know there's a 0.01% chance that it affects Tuscaloosa, and we're locked in on that. I mean, you can do that stuff. At some point, it just becomes disingenuous. But it is what it is. I mean, other than that, I mean, I don't really know what we're asking. And so when people say, well, why is the press conference so bad? Well, and the difference between like me, I get it. This is where we are, and Kerry Murdoch, who just went after Lincoln Riley this weekend.
For what?
Same thing.
Oh, okay.
They can see nothing. They hear nothing. He won't say anything. And the fans scream and yell, where's our coverage? Where's our news? And, well, I could do – and, yeah, we could pick up the phone and we could call a lot of people and maybe get bits and pieces of stuff. But, man, you got to be super careful when you do that.
And you're playing a game of telephone.
Yeah.
I mean, because the number of people that actually saw it is incredibly small.
Yeah. So
it's, hey, so-and-so said, and so-and-so said, and then so-and-so told me. Well,
but the person who told me, were you there? No. I was not there. So this is now, I'm reporting third and fourth and fifth-hand information.
I mean,
which is a surefire way to get stuff wrong.
And it reminds me a lot of, I mean, not to like tell stories or anything, but I mean, we haven't had this level. I mean, this is still not that level. With Orgeron, either the second year and the third year, maybe just the third year, I forget which one, there were no even pre-practice availabilities. There was no stretch, no endo. It was literally just show up when practice is over to talk to Ed.
Yeah.
Well, at that point, I have literally no idea what's going on. Hey, how did practice go today? Well, I mean, he could have said we're the 85 Bears every day, and you had no way to dispute that. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
there's no.
Course.
I mean, well, sure, sounds good.
And so what we're left with at this point is, I don't know who we get tomorrow, but let's just I got a roster. Let's say we're getting Kentrell Bullock.
Sure,
for fun. Hey, Lane, we're getting Kentrell in a few minutes. Was wondering if you might discuss the camp that he's had and what kind of a role you think he might play on this year's team. I mean, you're kind of down to that. And unlike a lot of people, I'm cool with it. It's fine. Because I'm very clear about where we are from a coverage standpoint. We're in scoreboard business mode. Because in 2 weeks, they're going to play a game. And when that game ends, we'll have a game to discuss, and 5 days later, another game to play.
Mm-hmm.
And then you know the rest of the deal. They'll do that 12 times. And there becomes a body of work that you can begin to discuss, and there are other storylines that kick in and things of that nature. An injury might occur on the screen or in front of us where it's obvious that a player was injured, and now you have things to write about. These are just kind of like the beat writer dog days.
Well, it's definitely that. I mean, that's 100%. But
if you haven't seen Kerry Murdoch's,
I haven't seen it.
I might find them. They're pretty good.
So he's mad.
No, he's not mad. He's pointing out to people who are mad that here's the deal. I'm going to find it. They're very upset at Kerry, though. That's not him. I'll have to find it in a minute. This is bad pod.
Yeah, it's fine. Sorry. That's all good. But point being, no, I understand what you're saying. I mean, there are not a lot of very easy things right here when you're not seeing much. And frankly, because of the rules being what they are, you can't even ask a lot of the things that you do see or wonder or whatnot.
Yeah.
And Lane doesn't, which is his right, he does not want to expound on minutia questions. So you're not going to get the, oh, well, since you asked that, let me tell you about it, blah, 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 the story I heard about Kentrell last week. Good luck. When we did, there was a good bit of that. Hey, Caleb Warren's coming in a minute. How valuable is his depth? Okay, you get a quote. He talks about he can play guard and center and do the whole deal, and it's fine.
So here's what happened. And I know, let me make this clear. I have zero problem with coaches handling it however they want to handle it. It's your team. You're the one who gets criticized when your team loses. You're the one who gets praised when your team wins. However you think is best to get your team ready to play, go for it. I'm cool with it. Because I'm going to write about what happens on the scoreboard.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We can – people will do this thing about, do you guys get mad? I mean, some people do, but I don't. I mean, if a coach calls me every day and tells me everything, literally calls me every day and goes, hey, Neal, here's the latest on our practices. And then they go out and get whipped 49-14. What am I supposed to do at that point? I got to write about how they got beat. So what difference does it make?
Yeah, you can't outrun the scoreboard. Go ahead.
So Oklahoma had a scrimmage, and there was no access at all.
Okay.
And Lincoln Riley didn't talk about it. And so, of course,
there wasn't a press briefing after?
There was some sort of press briefing, but there was nothing in it.
Okay.
So Sooner Scoop subscribers, part of the Rivals Network, they got upset. And Kerry says, if you're going to – this, by the way, there's some language in here. So
you can alter the language.
Okay, I'll alter the language for children.
Let's make it easy where I'm not in this thing.
If you're going to complain at me, he used a different word, because Lincoln is the biggest male member to the media in OU football history, then you probably need to go. So I will go ahead and handle that for you. Go to another website because you're done on this one. You do know that Lincoln is a psycho, right? He literally has been trying to block us from doing media NIL deals with players. I had to get the administration involved to get that stuff done. He might be the most restrictive coach of any Power 5 conference team in the country. He's absolutely terrible at dealing with the media. If the owner of the biggest OU site on the internet calls the head coach he covers again referring to male genitalia, is that the website's issue or the coach's issue? It's a website that serves the fans. It wants to love you, so which side is the issue? So Kerry was asked, now I got to find it again. Here we go. Kerry was asked, that was all on the website. Someone screenshotted all of that and took it to Twitter. And he says, I'm going to get back to the beginning of it. He says, there's a ton of drama when you embed yourself with the fans every day. Stuff is constantly hitting the fan. You just have to laugh or you will go insane, and I do lose my mind a little bit. Ultimately, I'm blessed I get to do this for a living. But he says, instead, we get meltdown threads after every scrimmage and accusations that we aren't doing our jobs because we aren't hitting up players behind the scenes, asking who looked good, who was starting here, etc. So, yeah, I get sick of dealing with it when it would be an easy fix. And the easy fix was, he says, so let's get into this. The media will show up and stand wherever you ask us so we don't see anything. What would it hurt for Lincoln Riley to take 10 minutes to tell us the defense did this really well, the offense did this really well, these players stood out, etc.?
Okay, I'm
kind of not with Kerry on this.
I want to think about it for a second because I'm a little desensitized to this. If I'm honest.
Well, you've been around me for a long time, and I've always been very consistent about this.
Well, I mean, we've
Hugh Freeze one time called me and said, "What do you want for access?" And my response was, "Look, I'm never going to ask for less access.
Sure.
But if I'm out there on the practice field, I'm there as a reporter. I'm never going to go to a practice as a fan, ever, never. Never, ever. I don't care enough about anything to go watch a practice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even watch my son practice. He practices soccer. I don't watch. It's a practice. Practices are boring.
Yeah, sure.
Now, if you want me to cover the practice or if you're going to allow me to cover the practice, if I see it, I can write about it.
Yeah.
And I'll play along a little bit with the rule about, hey, if we run a trick play, don't report it.
Again, don't be an idiot.
But if I see your starting center suffer an injury and walk off the field with the trainer and I can't write that, then I don't need to be there.
And if you write something more than that, then punish me. If I go, hey, he tore his ACL.
Without asking
then,
you, hey,
then I'm an idiot.
Right.
Yeah.
But if I can't write what I see, then I don't need to be there.
Yeah.
And you can eliminate me being there.
Yeah. Let's tease. Let me think about it for a second. First, tell you about Northeast Spark, NESPARC. 100 Mbps, the Ignite. It's available, as well as the Blaze, the 1 gig that powers the Clark Ford Studio. Your hometown team bringing you world-class broadband. nespark.com. 662-238-3159. Phone services available. Parental controls, network security, wireless mesh extenders, and more. Call the office for details. Get the best internet available in Oxford. It's in most neighborhoods now, so it should be available to you. Again, that's nespark.com. 662-238-3159.
I had the date wrong on the stream. I hope that did not lead to any problems for anyone. Today is August the 23rd, which, by the way, is my dad's birthday. Happy birthday to Mike McCready, 79 years old today. August 23rd. So I fixed that. So if anybody woke up and they spent the first 36 minutes of this podcast thinking it was August the 19th, that's on me. Tell your employer. I'll handle it. We're also brought to you by Pinpoint Commercial Real Estate. They're based out of Jackson, Mississippi. They service the entire state in all commercial asset classes such as retail, office, industrial, and land. Sam Cox and B.B. Mitchell are Ole Miss graduates, and they utilize their unique skill sets to execute on assignments and increase value for their clients. It's if you want to learn more, get in touch with them at 601-586-3220. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Raw denim jeans, custom fit, hand-tailored in Tupelo, Mississippi. One size fits one at BlueDeltaJeans.com. The baseball season obviously is wrapped up. Everything's wrapped up. It's football time. You can go to BlueDeltaJeans.com, check out their virtual tailor, and get measured and design your newest jeans in just a couple of minutes. It's BlueDeltaJeans.com. Use the promo code RebelGrove in checkout. You get 10% off of your purchase. You can also use it in the Oxford studio and get 10% off your purchase. It's a great time of year to get a pair of Blue Delta's cotton Genos in the works, so don't miss out. We're also brought to you by Landman's Fine Jewelry. Landman's, located at 1126 North Lamar Boulevard in Oxford, has been serving the Oxford area for more than 73 years, from engagement rings to wedding rings to fine jewelry, watches, pearls, fashion jewelry, children's jewelry, collectibles, and more. Landman's is the gold standard in fine jewelry. Visit them at landmansfinejewelry.com or call them at 662-234-2777. Also brought to you by Comer Heating and Air. Comer's the name you can trust. They bring more than 50 years of professional HVAC experience to Oxford, Tupelo, and the surrounding area. Go to 662-801-1777 and get in touch with them. They'll make sure that your cooling and heating systems are in tip-top shape. And we're brought to you by the College Corner. It's your one-stop Rebel Shop. 2 locations in the Jackson area in Ridgeland. The College Corner is next to Fleet Feet, and in Flowood, it's next to Half Shell. If you don't live in Jackson, it's okay. Go to collegecornerstore.com. Plus, you can find them on Facebook and Instagram. So whether you're tailgating in Oxford or home gating with friends and family, the College Corner has you covered for game day. The largest selection of Rebel gear in central Mississippi.
Podcast also brought to you by Tyson Drugs and G&M Pharmacy, 662-236-2222. They deliver locally in the Oxford area, right there on South Lamar. If you'd like to stop in and see all the different ways your community pharmacy can be good for you. And also remember, if you're a state or school employee in the area, if you're using a pharmacy benefit manager called CVS Caremark, that has nothing to do with CVS Pharmacy. Continue as you are with Tyson Drugs or G&M. Those are not affiliated, and you're all good with however you are currently using your benefit manager with Tyson Drugs or G&M. So again, to get great service, free delivery, and much more, 662-236-2222. I guess my question here is have the past coaches been really open? Because when I hear that from Kerry, frankly, covering this league, and frankly at Ole Miss, this feels very standard to me. Like, there's nothing about this that is getting my heart rate up. There's nothing about this that's abnormal. I mean, some are a little less, some are a little more, sure, or whatever.
Sure.
But not having scrimmage access, especially the second week of camp, is so the norm that I would have been shocked had there been access to the second scrimmage of fall camp at that point. Like, that makes no sense to me.
Well, yeah, and your response, had they said, listen, you can watch the scrimmage, but you can't report anything that you see in the scrimmage, including who starts and who doesn't, you would have said, then I don't need to be there. I'm good.
I mean, can you imagine, even if you were, we wouldn't, but even if you were trying to follow that rule, doing a podcast and not just speaking over an hour where you say something?
I would have to walk away.
Yeah, because, I mean, that puts yourself in such a weird spot.
No, my response to that would be, nope, those rules are not agreeable, so I won't come. And I've done that before. And I don't think that's me being a bad journalist. I think that's me saying, no, I can't abide by those rules because those rules are stupid. Now, they're your rules. It's kind of like the mask thing. If a store says you must wear a mask to walk in, well, I'm not going to walk into the store not wearing a mask.
Sure, yeah.
But now I might not walk into the store.
Sure.
And so it kind of comes into that deal with the football thing. Okay, you can't report on who runs in what groups. You can't report on personnel. You can't report about schemes, and you can't report injuries. Well, now what specifically can I report?
Is Lincoln always vague about everything?
Apparently.
Is he just one of those dudes?
Apparently he just does not like media. If it were up to him, he would talk to media after games and on that Monday press conference, and that would be it. To which kind of begs the question, well, then why not? Why just do it that way then? You win. You win big.
That's true.
And if you win big, it doesn't matter.
He's not getting fired over his lack of media ability.
Now, you drop 5-6 games a year.
Suddenly it becomes more of an issue.
And the media is not going to bail you out.
Mm-hmm.
But my argument would be the media couldn't bail you out if you tried.
No, we couldn't fix the 2011 season if we tried.
No, if I had written every week, hey, guys,
it's going to be fine.
It's going to be okay. Just give them more time. These are good guys.
Yeah, Moncrief looks great. Just give him some time.
If I call over there and ask,
see that touchdown pass against Vanderbilt in the fourth quarter?
Yeah,
it went from 30-0 to 30-7.
If I call and say, "Hey, who are y'all recruiting?" and they give me the whole list, that's why we called the show Scoreboard Business, because it is. Had I spent the 2019 season begging people to give Matt Luke more time. And listen, from an access standpoint, they were great. And frankly, from a human standpoint, they were great. I liked a lot of those people. But they weren't winning.
But you couldn't fix it. Yeah. Buy season tickets now. It's okay.
It's like I say all the time. If the coach I'm covering is winning, there's nothing I can write that's going to really hurt him. And if the coach I'm covering is losing, there's really nothing I can write that's going to help him. There's really not.
I'm a little surprised Kerry went that far. It shocks me a little bit. He was frustrated.
He's done. And the NIL thing, I think, pushed him over the edge.
That's probably what it more was about. Yeah. Is not only are we doing the Media Olympics, but we're also creating issues in.
Well, he's trying to do an NIL deal with an Oklahoma player, and he doesn't want it to happen. And he had to go to the administration, and I'm sure there's some stuff under the surface there that has created some turbulence.
Sure. I bet he and Lincoln hate each other right now.
Yeah.
But Lincoln's not happy.
No. And Kerry doesn't care.
No.
And nor should he.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter.
No.
I mean, I've covered coaches who
Lincoln will be coaching the Jets or somebody in a couple of years and then whatever.
Houston Nutt hated me. Hated me. Pure.
You think it's hate?
Hate.
You think so?
At the time, yes. Now, if you told me today that he and I would be okay, and maybe even sit down and have a normal conversation, I'd buy it.
Y'all got some ribs and move on with your day, I think.
During the 4 years that I covered him, he hated me.
Yeah, sure.
I think Hugh Freeze went all over the place, ran the gamut of emotions as it pertained to me. I think Matt Lute liked me, and I don't think Lane Kiffin knows who I am. I don't think it matters. None of it matters. It's a scoreboard business. It doesn't matter. And so when people do the whole media thing, like we're doing an entire show, but we have talked about some stuff. Yeah, it's not particularly interesting. All right, so where do you stand on this Bryan Harsin Auburn thing?
And I saw somebody in the stream say this. If it's true, I haven't seen it, but I haven't exactly done a big Google search this morning. That ESPN reported he was vaccinated or is vaccinated.
Oh, really?
I'm reading from the stream. If it's wrong, it's like Rebel 12's fault or whoever said it. I don't know.
Do you have any problem with him? Because I don't. I'm curious.
Okay.
Do you have any problem with Bryan Harsin saying, my vaccination status is none of your business?
No, I mean, in a lot of ways, this is a scoreboard business just like the other. At the end of the day, Auburn football is going to face repercussions or not face repercussions based off its overall vaccination status relative to the rules. Because I think you and I agree on this to an extent. You're probably a little less than I am because I think you not worry, but have more focus on the overall, this is just really stupid and let's fight the thing being stupid.
Okay.
I have a lot of thoughts on, hey, if that's the rule, then let's figure out the best way to work around the rule, and then let's figure out, okay, what does that pragmatically mean for me to do? So my point being, I'm not really that worried about Bryan Harsin's vaccination status. I'm not really worried about what his messaging is to his team or not to his team or any of that. At the end of the day, the rule is if 85% of your team is at a certain standard, then you have less testing, you have whatever, and you have more of a chance to get through your games. That's what he's going to be judged on. That's what everybody's going to see from the standpoint of if they have to forfeit a game, if they have a cancellation, if they lose to Ole Miss 2-0 because they couldn't play that game that week and Ole Miss could because Ole Miss was vaccinated. It's a very bottom line thought, but that's kind of where I'm standing on this. Is I don't really care if he admits to his vaccination status. I think it's a bigger deal that his team is where it is from a vaccination status. In a lot of ways, strictly from a scoreboard standpoint, because that is going to affect everything around that program. Now, obviously, you don't want people to get sick. Obviously, you don't want people to transfer the virus, all those things. And I have a hard time believing, because at the same time, Harsin is not saying, hey, don't get vaccinated, don't worry, it's a hoax. I mean, that's not what he's doing at all.
Right.
And now I'm not completely clued in on Auburn football. But my point being, to me, the story is not whether or not Harsin is vaccinated. If there's a story here, the story is whatever their overall vaccination rate is relative to what that means for their program moving forward into this season. That's kind of where I stand on this.
Yeah, I think I generally agree with that. What I am interested in is, okay, so when like Joseph Goodman went after him on Twitter, in a column at AL.com, not on Twitter, he wrote a column where he basically said that when you are the head coach at Auburn and you're making $5 million a year, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't know exactly what Bryan Harsin makes, a lot, that you don't have a personal life, that everything you do is as an ambassador to Auburn, and given that, you owe it to the school, to the program, to the fan base, et cetera, to be far more vocal about getting the vaccine. And Harsin has, from the very beginning, been pretty consistent in saying that he thinks that is an individual choice. Like you said, he's never said, listen, come on, man. Ain't no reason to get vaccinated. This thing's not real. And if he said that, then you're like, whoa, hold up. But he's also never come out and gone as strong as like Lane Kiffin did, where he said not getting the vaccine is irresponsible. And I'm not criticizing Kiffin. He's entitled to his opinion. Harsin's entitled to his. But the fact that Harsin's is not what the Joseph Goodmans of the world want it to be, is that really fair to criticize him for it?
No, and I think there's a middle ground there. He does not beholden his entire life to Auburn University. He's not beholden every thought to it. There are certain jobs, however, where you're such a spokesman for a state because of the way college football is in the South.
Sure.
That it brings on a whole different level of what is not even required, but what you potentially get judged on one way or the other. Because there are very few humans, including probably Kay Ivey in the state of Alabama, who can generate actual action toward anything more than Nick Saban and Bryan Harsin.
Oh, there's no doubt.
So you do have a certain responsibility to at least believe in whatever your methods are, whatever your statements are, whatever your words are, and that type of thing. I do think that's one difference that, not that Harsin's learning, and he's known this anyway. He's not a shell shock to him. But it's different that you're at a lot of other universities in this country where you do not have that same pull. There's some SEC jobs where you are the absolute spokesperson for that state.
Yes.
And he falls in one of those.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, there's a middle ground here between where Goodman is getting so hyperbolic and this, oh, well, nobody really cares, it's all good.
Where Goodman says he's shaking with anger.
I mean, okay, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. What is it?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
You might want to calm down.
So I think look, there probably is some, and I know, like I said, I know he's familiar with the South and familiar with the SEC and understands these things, but there probably is some culture shock on just the level of everything that matters when you're the head coach at Auburn or Alabama or Ole Miss or LSU or wherever inside this league outside of a couple jobs.
And I know this makes me a right-wing nut job when I say this, but I do kind of have a certain degree of respect for standing up for the principle of it's an individual choice. I do, especially, and this kind of transitions into another kind of related topic, especially if it becomes obvious, and it's fast becoming obvious, that you're going to test anyway.
Yeah, I need, just talking to the stream here, it's kind of my goal for the day is to figure out what some of these rules are because I'm fuzzy on them in a way I don't need to be fuzzy on them. I need to get better at this today.
No, because it's coming. Today. I mean, their game's starting this weekend.
Yeah, I need to know a better idea of what causes certain things to test or not test as we move forward, depending on the different things. So that's something I'm doing today. We saw that Oregon and Oregon State have put in vaccination requirements or negative test requirements to attend their athletic events at both those schools. I mean, it's not an outside venue, so I don't necessarily anticipate this at Ole Miss or at most SEC places today. But the Lyric and Proud Larrys have both put in vaccination requirements and negative tests for its shows coming up, which I think that's as much as anything a monetary business decision because it allows you to 100% have those things and not lose out on paying acts ahead of time and all those different things. There's a lot of stuff there.
A little bit of breaking news here. I think this is true. I'm kind of like to see it somewhere else.
Okay. What do you got?
There's a report that the FDA has approved the COVID-19 vaccine for individuals 16 years of age and older.
Okay, what does that mean?
Well, just that now
it's no longer emergency use for 16 and up.
Yeah, if indeed it's FDA approved, from a legal standpoint, you have more rights to mandate it.
Yeah, I'm seeing it in a lot of weird places, but I don't know that I see it somewhere where I'm believing it yet. But it's a lot of places over the last 30 seconds. Oh, hold on, this might be one that counts. Yeah, we'll take ABC News. Reading here. Quote, FDA grants full approval to Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. The Food and Drug Administration on Monday granted full approval of the Pfizer vaccine, becoming the first COVID-19 vaccine to transition from an emergency authorization status to full FDA approval. The approval comes in a week prior to federal health officials' earlier estimates that the agency would complete its review by Labor Day. The full approval indicates that Pfizer has shown enough effectiveness and safety data to meet the stringent biologics license application requirements, which includes at least 6 months of safety data from a majority of the volunteers in a large final stage clinical trial. This prioritized review entailed government scientists poring over hundreds of thousands, blah, 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 blah. I'm looking for something
But it's
pragmatic.
16 and older, right?
I'm looking.
Okay.
I don't see that yet. Obviously, this will pave the way for further vaccine mandates in both the public and private sector, akin to existing vaccine mandates for other FDA-approved vaccines. That's the part that dovetails into what we're talking about here as well as anything. Reading. Again, I'm skimming, but I see nothing in this from a 16 and up standpoint.
Okay.
Oh, no, there it is. I'm sorry. Based on the longer-term follow-up data that we submitted, today's approval for those aged 16 and over affirms the efficacy and safety profile of our vaccine in a time when it's urgently needed. Hundreds of millions of doses of our vaccine, blah, 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 blah. So, yes, the 16 and up was mentioned by the Pfizer CEO in his statement this morning, is where that came from. So, yes, point being, that absolutely 100% pushes the more likelihood of vaccine requirements at any and all public events. There's no doubt about that. especially indoors. If you told me Vaught Hemingway doesn't have one, I'll completely buy it. But if you told me the Pavilion does, I would also buy it. Again, speculation. Talked to literally no one because we just saw it.
Yeah.
But that would not surprise me in the least, as if indoor arenas had vaccination requirements.
One of the things I'm watching this week along these lines, there's a story out of Rice University in Houston. They went based on a bunch of positive tests on a campus that is, it's like 90-something% vaccinated.
Okay.
They went online, virtual, and now they've come back. I'm reading from coronavirus.rice.edu is my source. So in the event that that's wrong, what do you do? It says, just prior to the start of O Week, which I would assume means Owl Week, since they're the Owls, on August the 13th, we began ramping up our testing program with our 3 different test providers. Over the last 9 days, we've run about 4,500 tests. The initial results for this period showed 81% positive results, with about half coming in a single day on Thursday. This positivity rate of 2% is much lower than the surrounding community. The average test, blah, blah, blah. For Rice, a 2% rate would be significantly higher than our historical positivity rate of 0.24 over the last year when we ran about 150,000 tests. This unusual campus positivity rate prompted us to take quick action and assume a more cautionary posture until we could determine whether there was a significant risk of widespread infection. When we examined the results a few days ago, we suspected something was wrong. Those results didn't seem right for a number of reasons. Over 90% of the positive infections came from a single test provider. 3/4 of the positive tests were from people who reported no symptoms. The positive results were widely scattered among various groups in our population, with only one potential cluster that seemed more likely to be associated with their proximity to a particular testing location, and over 90% of the reported infections were for people who were fully vaccinated. Blah, blah, blah. They basically did all this stuff, and they found that the tests were wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We retested about 50 people who initially tested positive. Each of them was tested 2 additional times on 2 different days by 2 different test providers, and all but one came back negative. Based on the anomalies and the 2 follow-up negative tests from other providers, we concluded that these people who were previously treated as positive were in fact negative, so they were released from isolation. I'm sure there was no mental damage being isolated. The people whose positive tests were verified and remain in isolation. So they basically admitted, oops, we were wrong. And so until September the 3rd, because we've already screwed this up, we're going to be online. Then we're getting back to in person quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry for all inconveniences.
Yeah, sure.
But it makes me wonder, when the season rolls around and here we are, like you said, we're going to find this out. We need to talk to people.
Yeah.
Are we testing vaccinated players? Are we testing asymptomatic vaccinated players?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to know what's the PCR? How many times are you spending this bad boy? What are you out hunting for positives, or how does this work? Because it's the part I don't get. If you're vaccinated and you have no symptoms, why are we testing you?
Yeah. I don't know. We'll work on that today because, it's frankly the question right now. As we talked about, there's not a lot of actual football questions, so it is the question that we have as we move forward. Here, we'll also tell you about, for all your real estate needs in Oxford, check out Nick's Tan and Associates. That is 662-281-1200, nickstanoxford.com. You can click the link in my signature. The 321 football content item that they partner with me with, that's coming out later today as well. You can click the link inside that store with a lot of football coverage. Go to the website, see gallery views, map views, talk with agents, and more, led by O'Keefe Graham and Clay DeWeese. A lot of experience here in the Oxford area and much more. I've used them, and you should too. So again, 662-281-1200, nickstanoxford.com.
We're also brought to you by Pinnacle. They're based in Madison, Mississippi. They have clients in more than 20 states, advisors in multiple states. They provide detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and much, much more. Go to mypinwealth.com. That's MYPINN wealth.com to learn more. We're also brought to you by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. John's part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners that allows him to supply his clients with added values, unique benefits, simply not available to other travelers. What you do is you get in touch with him, you give him some parameters, you give him a budget, and he'll give you options. And no, you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. 901-494-3387 or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first book trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast. I'll have a mailbag up on Wednesday. It's brought to you by Whitney McNutt of Tommy Morgan Incorporated Realtors, serving you for all your real estate needs in Oxford and Tupelo. She sells condos, land, commercial, and residential family homes. 662-567-2573 or 662-842-3844. And we're brought to you by Alpha Specialties, 1670 Highway 80 in Pearl, Mississippi. They're your trailer-specific professional. They're the premium trailer dealership in Mississippi. They've got load trail, Hallmark cargo trailers. They can work with third parties to have game day trailers and concession trailers built just for you. It's alphaofms.com, and you can call them at 601-932-9798. We have an NIL deal with Chance Campbell, the Ole Miss linebacker. It is sponsored by the Rogue. I texted with Chance a little bit yesterday. Going to try to work something out for this week, but next week for sure we'll get into the routine of talking to him each week. Like I said, that's brought to you by the Rogue. It's your destination for fine men's clothing. Their stylist hand-select pieces from top designers. From work to lifestyle to nightlife, there's the perfect something for everyone at the Rogue. All the best items from Peter Millar, Martin Dingman, Jack Victor, Halsey, True Grit, and more. 4450 I-55 North in Jackson or therogue.com. And we're brought to you by Joey Erickson, Hair and Gear Chevrolet. Let Joey help you find the vehicle you're looking for at a price you can afford. Choose from a full selection of new Chevy vehicles or get a great deal on numerous brands of reliable pre-owned vehicles. Just give him a call or text on his cell, 662-571-2367. Tell him what you're looking for, or stop by 1685 High Street in Jackson to test drive that new or used vehicle you've been wanting and let him earn your business. Mention that you heard about him on the Oxford Exxon Podcast or the Soft Verbal Podcast, and with any purchased vehicle, you get a $50 gas card.
So, we don't tell a lot about it, but Braves won 16 of the last 18, including a 9-0 road trip over 3 series.
They've won like 13 road games in a row, right?
Yeah, something
crazy
like that.
Yeah.
The other thing, though, is they just swept the Orioles. The Orioles have lost 18 games in a row. They're still professional players. That's almost impossible. I mean, the likelihood of a professional baseball team not finding a win in 18 games is fairly remarkable.
It is. It is. Looking at standings here, Baltimore has a record that would be hard to pull off. They're
35 and something?
38 and 85.
Okay.
They have basically a 31% winning percentage.
And still have no chance of matching the worst record ever.
They've lost 18 in a row. They are 38 games behind the first place Tampa Bay Rays.
How many games?
38.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to win the division.
You don't?
No, it's going to be tough.
I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, I don't even think Jesus could help the Orioles right now.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, I'm
Texas is 43 and 80, 29 and a half games back in the American League West. Texas is 5 games ahead of the Orioles.
The Mets in their inaugural season went 40 and 120.
Yeah.
So that's not good.
It's not good.
That's up there. The 03 Tigers, I guess, would be the closest comparison. And again, they're way worse than the Orioles. They were 38 and 118 after 156 games. So there's that. But they, I guess, won the last few and beat the Mets and ended up ahead of that pace. Yeah, Saints on Monday Night Football tonight. Another look at Jameis and Taysom. Also didn't realize Taysom Hill was 31 years old.
Is that right?
I didn't have him 31 in my
Have you watched much preseason?
A little.
I've actually watched a good bit. I said this on the board. I'm buying the Zach Wilson stock.
You've been buying that.
Phew, man.
You've been in on that.
He looks like an NFL quarterback right now.
Yeah, you've been in on that. Everybody says Jameis is ahead on the scorecards. I believe Romero the other day that this thing's more done than they're acting like.
Has to be. Come on. Come on.
You got a few reporters that do Taysom doesn't run in the preseason, and when he starts running, it's going to look completely different. It's like, no, I saw that last year, actually, when he runs. Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about running quarterbacks for a minute.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's not doing Michael Vick 2003 or whatever out there right now.
It's the knock on Lamar Jackson right now, right? Is that in the playoffs that won't work.
Yeah, we have to throw the football.
Yeah, you're going to have to get it down the field.
I know. So,
Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, all that. Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of right there in front of you.
I know. So, anyway.
Winston's got a big arm. He can sling it. He's got to be their guy. It was interesting. I watched the Bears and Bills the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you this now. The Bills, that was Mitch Trubisky at quarterback, okay? And Mitch played well.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, they're stacked. They're good everywhere.
No, they're great. Yeah,
they're really good everywhere. And
yeah.
when you put Kyle Allen back in that offense,
yeah,
and he's got the big contract now and all that stuff, they looked like a playoff team with Mitch Trubisky at quarterback. And the Bears, on the other hand, they got themselves an issue because the fans want Justin Fields. And Justin Fields is playing better right now than the big redhead.
Yeah, sure.
And probably the thing to do is to let Andy Dalton start the season. But why?
Yeah.
Why not let Justin Fields go get his lumps? Go make your rookie mistakes. Get it out of your system. It's going to happen. You look at the Jets, and it's very clear that Wilson's the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it. Hey, we're not going to the playoffs. Let's go make your mistakes. Let's go learn from it. Well, that's what Fields is, your quarterback of the future. Why are you not doing the same thing?
Yeah, no, I agree. You're not a playoff team, so go ahead. Figure it out.
And if you are a playoff team, it's because of him.
Yeah, and that works out too. So
so you're not probably a playoff team.
Yeah.
Green Bay, another team, because Green Bay went with Rodgers didn't play. It was like Dinkman or somebody.
Yeah, I saw that.
And they looked really good.
They're good. Ole Miss is off today, by the way. First day class, always off, but they're taking Monday. Same schedule as last week. We'll have availability for whatever that means, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Yep.
This week, and then they'll obviously get into game mode next week for the week. I don't know what that looks like, too. We need to ask. Since they have a Monday game, I have no idea how they're structuring those
How next week looks, yeah, I don't know.
And the next week.
Yeah.
So I don't know what those
because the next week they play on Monday night, so they don't get back until Tuesday morning.
So you probably got like Wednesday availability, and that might be it.
That might be it.
Yeah. So
it's Austin P. It'll be all right.
We'll see what that looks like, but nonetheless, podcast the rest of the week. We'll get some guests for you and more. So back with you tomorrow morning. Appreciate everybody in the stream. And as always, take care. Have a good day. We'll talk to you soon.